The matrix has been one of the coolest techniques to be developed in the last 10 years of jiu-jitsu. Not just because it's extremely effective, but also it's just very fun to watch. And I think that's a super important aspect of jiu-jitsu. In a world full of double guard pulls, 50-50 stalling, lapel stalling, it's exciting matches that make us love this sport. The Matrix was first made incredibly popular by Espen and Tommy Lanker when they first exploded onto the scene. After seeing them do it the first time, I got really into it as well, and I even made a video on it a few years back that many of you have already seen. This past Euros, me and Espen hosted a huge Mavericks camp here in Gothenburg, Sweden. And while we were training, Espen revealed one of his new crazy back attacks he calls the inside matrix. It's such a powerful combo because you can hit it from a lot of unorthodox angles, and it's really new, so almost no one's going to expect it. So I took the opportunity to sit down with Espen and have him do a full breakdown on it so I could share it with you guys.
Traditionally, when you do a matrix, you go from kind of like the outside. So it can be here in the Lahiva, you go for like an underhook, you want to get your knee on the inside, and you go for this kind of structure. However, the inside matrix, you're not going to go from the outside, you're going to go from the inside. So there's different ways to enter this position, but the structure is the same independent. And what you kind of want to do is you want to shelf the leg. So you can either shelf on the hip or the rib cage, kind of depending of where you're setting it up from. So first off, we're going to look from the Lahiva. From here, what I want is to get all their weight and balance out to the right. So it works really good in conjunction with, for example, like going for berimbolo, because you try to get the berimbolo, they bring a lot of momentum into this direction. So I'm going to use that momentum and get them out to the right. And what I want to do is to use my foot on the far leg, and I'm going to extend my leg completely and now shelf his leg on the hip. So just resting here on my hip. And now it's actually extremely hard for him to get back, because it's very hard to peel this leg when it's fully extended like this, and his leg is resting on top of my hip, so it's hard to transfer the weight back. From here, I want to start to spin through and go for the matrix back take. However, it can be tricky to get momentum just from this position. So what I like to do is to self-frame. So I'm going to grab my shin like this, and now I'm going to use my elbow to get the inversion. However, I can't just rely on using my elbow. I have to simultaneously bring the leg up. So a key detail is to actually let go of the hook. If I were to stay with the hook, it's going to limit my ability to bring the leg up. So I'm going to take the hook out, and now while I'm using my elbow, I'm going to lift the leg. You see? That enables me to bring the leg high up like this. From here, you can either go directly into like a matrix structure, or you can actually hold your leg and place it in position. From here, as I get the leg behind, I'm going to grab the hip, and now I'm going to kick out directly, and from here, you get the back take. So now I kind of showed me doing it from the Lahiva. However, it's also possible to do from other positions. So a very nice setup you can do as well is to do it from the X-guard. Kind of the same idea. You don't want to have them just standing right above you. You want to get their weight out to the side. So that's my first goal. I'm here, and I'm going to transfer the weight out. And as I said, the structure is the same. You want to have your foot here and keep them at distance, and you want to shelf the leg. It's a bit different in this scenario because I'm not shelving on the hip, but I'm shelving on my rib cage. However, the structure is very similar. From here, I just stay like this. Now I self-frame like this, and now I bring the leg up and I start to invert. And the elbow gonna help me to get the inversion. From here, I throw the leg in, I get my knee under, because from the Lahiva you didn't have to do that, but when you do it from an X-guard structure, you have to make sure that your knee goes under. And now I'm not gonna let him establish space, I'm just gonna kick out directly. So he falls into my lap, and again, I have the back take. So as I showed, it works from X-guard, but I will also say it works from kind of all structure of X-guard. So like single leg X with underhook. So anytime you can get into like X-guard, single leg X, or even with underhook like this with single leg X, and you get them out to the side, same idea. You put your foot on the far leg, stretch out, you have the leg shelved on you. Now it's going to be on my arm instead of directly on my rib cage. But again, I'm here, frame, and now invert, get my foot behind, grab, and now kick out. And what I really like about this inside matrix, what I found, is that it's very effortless. It's pretty easy to get back exposure, but I also find it's harder to counter. In the traditional structure of the matrix, there is a higher chance that as you're going for this, especially if they're able to kind of control the secondary leg, they might go for a diving back take, a leg drag, or whatever. However, I feel from the inside matrix, when I'm here, it's extremely hard to kind of counter this structure. So you're fairly safe, and it's also quite effortless. You don't have to rely on a lot of force to get the angle or anything. So it's fairly easy to find back exposure, and from here, go for the back. So you can also use it from sit-up guard. I really like to go for like this kind of shallow sit-up guard, like this. I control distance with my right leg, so I'm not gonna have it down. This enables me to be safe, but also this is gonna help me to get the inside matrix position, because as we talked about before, in the structure, we wanna kick on the far leg to keep their weight off, right? So from here, I like to go shin on shin. I dive down, I kick them out, and again, self-frame, invert, hook here, and now kick out, and I get the back. Another time the inside matrix can be really, really good is when you go for like an ankle lock. So if you go down on the knee, I'm here, I'm going for the ankle lock. Obviously, if they turn really much down, you can go for more the conventional way of going for an outside matrix, and now go for the back take. However, it's really good if you're here and that you can't really get a good bite or they're good at defending. From here, you can do the inside matrix. Same structure as we talked about. The leg is already kind of shelved on my rib cage. I just need to transfer weight. I need to kick. Make sure I have a sticky leg so it's hard to peel. And from here, I just self-frame. And now I invert, change my leg behind his knee. My knee goes in, and then I kick out directly. And again, back. So in a lot of the scenarios I was showing now, Richard went down on the knee. I just want to mention that it's completely fine even while they're standing, and I would argue that it might be easier because there's more space to spin through. So say, for example, if you get them out and he keeps standing, you don't go down on the knee, this doesn't really matter. You just keep the same structure, keep his weight off, make sure to keep the leg sticky. Don't go too far down on the knee because now it's easier to peel. So you keep it here, same idea, self-frame, lift the leg, and now you spin through, and boom, you have the back.
All right, Espen, so we just finished the Euros camp. We had a lot of different people come in. We had Davis Assar, we had Pedro Paquito, we had Jason. So do you have any things that were big takeaways for the camp from you, or any things that you think are really good for comp prep that you do to lead up to these big competitions like the Europeans?
Obviously, like training with high-level people, you always catch up like new details, new things you need to be aware about, and you kind of get a bit exposed in some sense. But just in general, it's so nice to meet up with like people that are so much into jiu-jitsu, have a high level, and are willing to like help and share. So I feel it's like the perfect preparation for Euros, just to mix it up. And because if you're just training back home, it might be a bit repetitive. You kind of know what's coming. It's kind of predictable in some sense. However, when you meet up like this, it's like almost like new variables you need to account for. And that kind of emulates what you're going to meet in competition, where you almost have to be a bit, you step into the unknown in some sense. So I think it's a perfect preparation.
So now I'm going to include a small highlight of Espen using the inside matrix in sparring. But I also wanted to mention that Espen is now posting on his YouTube channel a lot as well. So be sure to go over there and subscribe if you guys haven't seen his content. And if you guys have any questions or requests for future videos, be sure to leave a comment.